Hi, this is Sonia from Your Vegan Guide, and today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about my thoughts on Raw-Till 4. Now, I did a series of videos a couple months ago on Raw-Till 4, and I'll put a link below if you missed those. And then I just want to talk to you about my views on Raw-Till 4, because what I find is when I look at what other people are doing, very few people follow Raw-Till 4 to the letter. And basically Raw-Till 4 is eating an 80-10-10 style vegan diet in which you eat nothing but raw foods till about 4 o'clock, or really whenever it is that is your dinner time, and then having a starch-based cooked vegan dinner that is low fat. And a lot of people find that easier than doing strict 80-10-10 fully raw vegan, because they want more flexibility to incorporate cooked foods in their diet. And from that perspective, I really like the diet. I really do like the lifestyle because it gives you more flexibility. And I love starch-based foods such as rice and potatoes and sweet potatoes, and find that actually it helps my digestion quite a bit. Now, do I follow Raw-Till 4 to the letter? No, I don't, but I do follow a lot of the principles. I would like to talk to you a little bit about my thoughts on some Raw-Till 4 principles that maybe I differ from, because I find it really helpful when other people talk about what they do versus, what the Raw-Till 4 principles are. So I want to share that with you as well, because you might find a little bit of a nugget in what I do that works for you, or that maybe you feel like, oh, you have to follow it so rigidly, when truly other people are not necessarily doing that. So for one thing, I've had some digestive issues over the last couple months, and so I've actually been eating a lot more cooked food, more McDougall style. And McDougall actually is a proponent of not eating very much raw food, which I do think it is better to eat, more raw food and get that living freshness from your food. But, sometimes if you have an issue, or it just might not be the right time for you to do that. Because I think really you need to be flexible even with yourself, that you might change eating styles depending on your body and your needs and your circumstances at any given time. I think for me, the important principles are to keep it low fat, obviously to keep it vegan, and to keep it a whole food based diet, and not to eat like a lot of junk food, like a lot of vegan junk foods like the fake meat and that type of thing. And obviously not to chow down on chocolate and other types of foods that should just be very rare treats. So actually I did a juice feast about a month ago, and that went pretty well. I learned some things, and what I look at a juice feast as pretty much a liquid form of 80-10-10, which is fully raw. And I learned so much about my digestion, which I've been trying to work with. And I know a lot of the Raw-Till 4 proponents, such as Durian Ryder and Freely, are against juicing and that type of thing. But I think there's a time and place for it. But I do agree with a lot of their concerns about it, because I think a lot of people try to do that for weight loss purposes. And it's probably not the best way to long-term approach weight loss, although you can lose some weight from it, and depending what your next steps are, you might actually retain some of that weight loss. But my biggest decision to do that was based on working with some digestive issues. So one thing too that I think is really important is that I know Freely comes more from a lot of people with eating disorders go on to 80-10-10 and Raw-Till 4, but not everybody who comes to this lifestyle has an eating disorder. And so I don't think some of the warnings necessarily apply to some people, like, oh, you have to gain a lot of weight because you've been calorie restricting and that type of thing. That just doesn't apply to everybody. Although as a society, I would say probably we have generalized eating disorders, because I agree with Dr. John McDougall when he says that the diet that most Americans and Westerners are eating is actually poison. So foods like meat and dairy are actually poison. So from that standpoint, we have a generalized eating disorder. And also, it's been very popular for women growing up to calorie restrict, and I think that's also pretty generalized. But I'm talking about hardcore people who have bulimia and anorexia and that kind of thing. And so some of the recommendations, such as not to weigh yourself, I don't think necessarily need to be generalized to everybody. That is one thing, that is a principle that I wish I had been weighing myself all along for this year, because I allowed myself to get into a state of denial over my weight because I was eating a lot of vegan junk foods. And had I been weighing myself all along, I could have stopped that. And I wasn't going to act in an eating disordered type manner because I just don't have that in my background. And so I think for a lot of people, actually weighing yourself and doing chronometer, so you're not only tracking the calories that you're eating, but you're also tracking what's going on, like with your measurements and your weight. And even if you want to do blood pressure or someone get really fancy and do some other things and you're into the numbers, why not? It really depends on how your attitude is towards measuring things. If you're really obsessive about it and you're coming from a bulimia background, then maybe that's not for you, but that doesn't mean it isn't for everybody. I also am very happy that I am part of a gym, that I go work out regularly at the gym. And I know a lot of the people who tend to be more natural and Raw Till 4 are more into the biking and the running and that type of thing. And that's great, but it isn't necessarily for everyone. So the reason I'm really making this video is to try to give you permission, if you're restricting yourself from making certain principles like Raw Till 4 your own, really taking ownership and making it your own, and go ahead and disagree with the pioneers or of the Woodstock Fruit Festival or Durian Rider or Freely. You really got to make it your own. I think if you don't make it your own, you will fail miserably. You really have to think for yourself on this one, because no one knows where you're coming from. And another really important principle for me is eating till I'm full. I don't like to calorie restrict, therefore I don't eat till I'm 80% full, like some of the people who advocate a low-calorie diet like Furman does, Dr. Joel Furman, believes. But I don't believe in stuffing your face until you're trying to build your capacity. I eat till I'm full, and for me that means that sometimes I don't reach 2,500 calories a day, and that's fine because I don't think I'm active enough yet to justify that. And when I get really active, and I'm really ramping up now, then, and my body's asking for more calories, I will not hesitate to give it what it wants. So I am definitely not into calorie restriction. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts with you and hear what you have to say about Raw Till 4 and how it might be working for you. So